The crick, it's right at the tip of my finger. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Gets us what we want now and gets us what we want later. It's got a nice rumper still skin on him. Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to Ohrmundt Simmentals. This is Chris. All right, so we are heading down to the shop and heading out to check fence. Dad is down already baling hay, and I talked to him. He said he is about a third done, and he said it's going okay. So I got my water, I got my boots. It is warmer today. All right, FYI, boots are still a little wet. Actually, it's just the left one. The dry one, the right one seems pretty darn dry. What I did though, so here's the crossing. I'm actually on the east side of the crossing. Up here is where, on the other side is where I had stopped yesterday. So I figured I can just walk across the creek, take the hammer, the pliers, just my bare essentials. If I need anything, I can come back and grab it. So let's head over, start trimming some grass, and fix what we got to fix, and move on. Yeah, so like literally 15 minutes. Got everything brushed out, reset some posts, and in most areas, anywhere that there's not like some good solid brush or something on the back, I'm putting the tape ribbons up, just so that they can see it, help them out. Don't want them getting in trouble when they don't mean to. Like I might have pointed out yesterday, the crossing's actually really good. Only these two top lines are live. That bottom line is just there for a visual. All right, so we've moved up the bank. And just as a point of reference, the crick, it's right at the tip of my finger. And if I turn 90, you can see the orange of the rake. And that's the shop. So a little bit of trimming here, picking up some tension. And then as I head towards the shop, because the road is right through this brush. So as I head down towards the shop, it's mostly going to be pick up tension, set a couple posts, pretty simple. Then we venture into a more sketchy area, more interesting area. Well, we've made it up to right behind, right next to the shop. Well, not right next to it, but here's where I parked the roller and the chisel plow. Shop's right over there, rake, all that stuff. We got some tension we got to pick up here and make sure these gates are set up right, make sure it's ribboned, and then this is when things start getting a little interesting. We've got a spot in here, so the bank is right here where this brush is, and it's really steep, and we've actually done some brush burns where we'll dump old trees and stuff like that. We'll burn that, but we don't necessarily want the cows in there. I've kind of fenced it off with a temp line. If they get in there, it's not the end of the world, but we don't want them to be in there. So just got to make sure that that's up. And then, so that's kind of an interesting venture. So I go down this way about 30 yards down the hill, and then might be hard to see, but the line's right there. And then we take off down that way along the bottom of the bank. So there's usually not a whole lot to be done to this line. It's more visual form. This is going to take me a couple minutes, and sounds like Dad's coming back from baling hay. So sounds like he's done. All right, so right there is the picker, and then the shop is over here. So I was right up there. But there was an old pine tree, big pine tree we cut down, so there's remnants of it down in here. It is really freaking hard to drive a four-wheeler through here. One, you can't see it. So that's the biggest issue. But I just got done. I left the trimmer here, but I have to do this because this is actually my fence, and then this is just a temp. So I got this done, this was done, and now I gotta fix this. For some reason, this line breaks every year, and I don't know why. I don't know what comes through here. This is all berry brush and everything. I don't know if like a bear comes through here every year or what's going on. All right, so I'm back at the shop. So other than weed whacking that one little stretch of, yeah, it's probably like 100 yards right across from where the cows are. Other than doing that and then putting up that like little stretch of wire, I am done with checking fence. It's the hard part is done anyways, and that trimming probably take me like 40 minutes or something like that. Hey, how's it going? It is Wednesday afternoon. So yesterday didn't film nothing. We spent like an hour or so working on that broadcast spreader. I was gonna do that grass trimming that I needed to do yet, and I was about to go out and do it. We were gonna take a break from the broadcast spreader, and then it started raining. One, cows didn't get moved, and which, like I said, I was trying to get the third day, which they were forced to be on there for a third day. They were nice enough to stay in, no issues. But what I'm going to do is something a little bit different. They're going to get a chunk of the field right next to them that I usually say is the first one after they come back from behind mom and dad's. So I'll show that to you and I'll explain what we're going to do. Dad and I kind of came up with the same idea, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. Gets us what we want now and gets us what we want later. All right, here's where I'm going to explain stuff, and hopefully I make a little more sense. Okay, so this is the field that they're going to go on tomorrow. So this is what I've said is the start of the back pasture. So how do we get best of both worlds in this little scenario? Typically what we like to do is what I've said is this chunk right here in between where they're at now and to this field back here, I consider this the last chunk before we start the rotation over. Okay, this is the same chunk where we had our pairs in April. And normally what we'll do is I'll make a two-wire alley out of temp line, and then we'll just run them down here and run them across the road. So what are we gonna do today? I'm standing right on the corner. So if you see where that tree is right there, just to the left of that tree is the corner, the gate, where they're gonna come in through. So I'm probably gonna run a line over here a little bit, and then they're gonna have this corner. But I'll give them enough, they can come in here, they can fill their bellies, and they'll be good overnight. So then we can move them across tomorrow morning. We can get out there, I can do one buzz around all the pasture, make sure all the line is the way we want it. And yeah, this will be a nice chunk for them. And then what it does allow us to do is I'll take this line down, and this will get like a week's worth of rest. Yes, not a lot, but the hope is they're not going to even take half of this for tomorrow. When they come back, they'll just have the whole field. If there's anything left on here, they'll take it. Then they'll get this whole field for 2 days, and then we'll start the rotation over. But here we go. I'm still coming back to this mic drop steer. That boy is nice. And then here's Helga's bull calf. But who else? And then I think this is that 431 bull. It's got a nice rumper still skin on him. Yep, that's a trademark term. There's Goggle Gergs' steer calf. He's pretty darn nice. So I did mention it. Broadcast spreader. Might be a little bit hard to see, but you can see the shiny plate down there. That's the new stainless steel bottom Dad was able to get welded in. We've got everything in place. All right, so we made it to the point of where I'm going to start. So this is that first hay field that we cut for hay about 2.5 weeks ago we cut it. You've got some nice orchard grass that's like 14 inches tall. It's not real thick, but you've got a ton of clover and the grasses are starting to come back. Is this a lot of feed? No, but it's definitely some really, really good quality grass and pasture. Honestly, I'm really just walking and talking and looking for 4-leaf clovers as I'm recording. But yeah, this is what that line is in there somewheres. Oh, here it is. So here's a post right here, so that it's only a single line. We're not really too worried about it because it's like they run into a sheer wall of ferns. So I've got about like 150 yards, 130 yards, give or take. It's actually it's about 1/8 of a mile because, oh, hey, Mr. Fly, go away, go away. Well, that actually went pretty good. It only took me about a half hour. Morning. Happy 4th of July. Yep, it is 4th of July, which is crazy because it seems like we have done nothing this summer. And that's partially because we've barely done any hay. Because it rains every other day. Okay, so it's been a minute. But what I did do is, so I'm like right behind Mom and Dad's. The creek is right down there, and this is kind of where I came around this corner. This was like the last really big stretch of fence that I had to check, but I used this post. There's all sorts of little chipmunks running around. It's funny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a temp line. They get this area, so this hillside, this is a couple acres, and then they get across the creek and then up towards the oats field. So we're going to set up a temp line that starts up at this post, comes down here, goes around that bush right there over to the creek crossing, and then up right alongside the drive that heads up towards the field. All right, fencer is hooked up, juice is checked. We're running at about 6,000 volts, which is a really nice number. We like to see anything above 4. We'll give them a healthy reminder. 6, that talks to them a little bit. So we're just gonna set up. What we usually do is we'll run a string of twine there and a string of twine there, make a little alley and bring them across. So got a little rain coming, so we'd like to kind of get this done before that happens. Well, we got them across, no problem. But of course, they spent less than 5 minutes on the field and ran off down to the creek. So Dad took off to go plug the fencer in, just in case. They're already screaming. Whatever. They'll be back up here in minutes. All right, so back behind Mom and Dad's, got the mineral tub set. So we put them right here. We got fields right up there. They come down here. Creek's over there. Again, going with the Neutrina beef, all-purpose, and fly control. So we're gonna keep on that one. I did add the garlic powder to this. A lot of scratching gonna happen pretty soon. Yep, there we go. Factor, you breeding her today? I think we'll have to put that, we'll have to mark Joey down as a question mark.